Shut up. The Footy's on Triple M.
Now on Triple M Footy.
Too strong, too good.
This is the Midweek Rub.
That is just brilliant.
How do you like those apples?
Triple M rocks footy.
Yes, hello. Welcome to another edition of Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Of course, exclusive on the listener app also. Joey here. There's been a bit happening this week in Victoria, but there's still plenty of footy to chat through. Welcome, Daisy. Welcome, Damo. And Duck, welcome to you, and a big happy birthday for tomorrow.
Oh, for tomorrow. Well, it's not my birthday.
What do you
it's
mean?
Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow? Yeah, we're not going to see you tomorrow.
I'll tell you what, given what we're about to go through with maybe being locked down, Damo, I might just have to venture out tonight.
Reckon tonight you're going to do your birthday dinner just in case?
I might have to just do a birthday dinner tonight just in case, and if not, we'll do another one tomorrow.
Just front
we
foot it, you reckon?
discovered, Joey, last Saturday when we spoke to Duck about the impending 50th on the Saturday Rub, that the tour of Duck started last week. He's actually got plenty of occasions already behind him leading up to the big 5-0.
Don't just have one little...
No, you got to make it. Are you going to have a big party? Well, you're planning a big one?
Planning something in July.
Yep.
Later in July, so something a bit more substantial then, and hopefully... well, my mate actually turns 50 this Saturday night, and all of his, all of his stuff now is kaput because you can only have 30 people.
Is it for the good of the people that we are going into lockdown around your 50th?
Might be very good timing. Might be very good timing. I know a few mates that are pretty happy.
And you can get vaccinated too, Duck, as of tomorrow. You
can
get, yeah, as a 50-year-old.
Yes, you can too.
You'll qualify.
What about what are those tickets you get when you...
The concession cards?
Do I get one of those?
Not yet.
When do I get one of those?
I can't believe the Duck's turning 50.
Yeah, I know. I don't look a day over 52.
No. You're looking great, Nick, for 50. Duck, don't worry. If Daisy and I look like you when we're 50, we'll be over the moon.
We would have improved out of sight and lost 20 gigs each.
How are you, Days?
I'm pretty good, mate.
Bringing anything to the table? Yeah, this is now your thing. You got to bring something to the table every week?
Yeah, well, I brought another 6-pack of beers. We'll get to that later.
Oh, yes, you did too.
I didn't ride my bike in today, just the inclement weather out here in Melbourne. I'm just still not comfortable on the roads in the rain.
Yeah.
For those who aren't looking out a window, it's 20 and sunny. But yeah, no, I've gone with the legend of the round again. I've bought that again this week, and well, this is how Triple M called it.
Walker, the crowd will tell you, he's nailed the goal. Adelaide are in front by a point. Brayshaw tries to squeeze one. Pickett's down there. He's lurking around. Here's Seasman for Adelaide. Is that enough? It is. The Crows have burst the Demon bubble. Adelaide win here at the Oval.
Yeah, now big Texan. We love Texan. Yep. He's a Triple M man. He often gets a fair bit of crap thrown at him over that his journey over there at Adelaide. But not only did he go back and kick that clutch goal, and we were speaking of goal kicking last week, Duck.
Yeah.
That's a bloke that has a good routine. He kicks through the ball. He knows what he's doing. But after the game, the siren goes, he goes over the crowd and he hugs a bloke called Cliffy. Just makes his day. He pumped about it, caught up in the emotion. Now, Cliffy hits him up on Twitter.
Yep.
Says, great to see you. Thanks for the hug. What a great win. Any chance you can give me a jumper and sign it? Happy to pay, which obviously he put it out in a public forum like Twitter because he's not happy to pay. He's just sort of backing Texan into a corner. And the big Texan said, yes, brother, we'll sort it out. So Cliffy not only got the hug from the Texan, he's going to get his jumper signed from him. So for that reason, Texan getting the win over the D's and being an all-round good guy, he's my legend of the round.
Oh, I like it.
Well done, Daisy.
I like it.
That's a good
I
one.
like it. But, just shaming him, basically.
No choice but to.
Just back right into a corner.
And it's easy for Tex to say yes because it's not his jumper. He's now going to go to the property steward, as you know, and say to the property steward, hey, can we just get that jumper back to give it to old Cliffy? It's the property steward that has to deal with the trying to organise another one.
We used to, all property stewards are very
tight.
Very tight. We used to have to hand our chewy back after.
You play for North, though, Duck.
Yeah, mate, the footies we had, like waterlogged footies from, the year before, and it was,
we had Champ, our property steward at St Kilda, and asking for a pair of footy socks. It was dead set like you're asking for a piece of gold. It was like that hard to get through. You had to suck up to him. And
you blokes should have played for a good club. We got new training shorts every week, new footies every time. Unbelievable down there at the Pies.
The haves and the have-nots, that's what it was.
Especially on game day, when you just go, you say, mate, I need some shorts. Well, didn't you bring them? I said, no. Well, hang on, you've already had your quota, Duck. Well, what do you want me to do, mate? Play in your Speedos, do you? Just get the shorts.
You go to Dennis Pagan saying, listen, Duck hasn't got any shorts. We can't let him play until he gets his own.
Damo, time for your footy news. And let's start, of course. We don't want to delve in it too deep because we're all over the COVID, but it is the big talking point of the week.
Yeah, and Joey, what we learnt last year, there's no need or reason to delve too deeply into it when you talk on products like this. And as we talk today, it's roughly early afternoon, late morning on the Wednesday. So it can change quickly. As we speak, there is an intent, and the government has ticked off on it, for matches in Melbourne to have crowds. Yet to determine the percentage of crowd, Duck, but there will be crowds. And part of that at this stage, the roof at Marvel Stadium will be open for the Friday night game and the North game on the Saturday. That can change. That's the latest update.
How can we have crowds as of now? And I don't want to get into it, as I agree with the boys, and you can only have 30 people at a venue. You can only have 30 people at a party, but you can all go to the footy.
It doesn't marry up, does it?
How does it? It just doesn't make sense.
But I'm glad,
Priorities,
though.
Duck, priorities.
Priorities. I mean, where's the common sense in that?
Well, I'm glad, though, as a state, though, Days, that we're trying something different to what happened last year, or where the first response was shut everything down forever. Again, it can change, and Duck,
I don't
this is
want
only
it,
the
by the way,
Wednesday.
I don't want it to
No,
be
no,
shut
but I hear what
down.
you're saying.
I'm just saying, why are we having restrictions there but not there? I mean, I think we should be able to continue. New South Wales has had these types of cases forever and a day, and they just keep on keeping
Functioning.
on.
Yep.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. Fingers crossed it all plays out. But as you said, Damo, it's an ever-evolving situation, and we'll keep an eye on that. The other big talking point out of this week from a footy sense in particular was the Tribunal.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get Duck and Daisy's thoughts on this Tribunal situation. But first of all, what was your take?
Okay, so the Holman tackle on Duncan was thrown out at the Tribunal, and I felt that had to be the case. And before we get the opinions of the experts on this, the ex-players, the other one, as we speak, Carlton, I believe, will take to the Tribunal the decision that went against Plowman for his contact with O'Meara. I felt that should have been thrown out too. Before I get your guys' opinions.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The Holman one was absolutely ridiculous that it was even offered for 2 weeks.
I agree.
That now just creates more confusion than what we need in the game now. That is a genuine rundown tackle. The outcome is unfortunate that Duncan went off, but he executed that tackle perfect. And as we saw last night, everyone agrees. And well, the Plowman one, what else is he meant to do? Yeah, you make a decision to go for the ball and you can impact it. He's 0.1 of a nanosecond away from impacting the actual ball in terms of getting in front and marking it. When you make that decision, you don't know if you're going to get there, if you're not. When you watch the vision, he does not deviate 1 millimetre from when he sees the ball and goes to it. The fact that there's a contest and contact on the back of that, I just find it so hard. And the AFL arguing last night that he braced for contact. Well, at some point, even if it is like that, if someone throws something at you, you're going to shriek a little bit. And
you are allowed to protect yourself. Absolutely. We've all been on the football field. You need to, at some point, brace for contact and protect yourself. These people that are sitting there saying, oh, he should go into that contest with his chest wide open and lead with his head because he's got, you've got to understand, you've got every right, and it's instinct, it's human instinct to protect yourself when the's about to be a collision.
The only thing that went against him for mine is that I guess his arm's not out as if if he's going for a spoil.
Yeah.
And so then he has. You're right. He's protected himself. That's all he's done. And I've just got myself a stutter.
But he almost did still make contact. If you watch that fist, he still looks like he spoils it. But just because his arm wasn't fully extended, there's no rule that says your arm has to be fully extended to spoil. You can still spoil with a slightly bent elbow, which I thought he did.
At full velocity, you're going to if you're going to be a metre late, you will put your arm out because you need to be further away. So he was so close to the impact that he's just sort of put a little stiff arm jab in to try and get the ball because that's where it would have landed. Unfortunately, they make contact. I just think now, where does this leave the MRP? In all honesty, Chris O, who's done a job there for a while, but there is so much grey area at the minute. Is the AFL likely to change the way this then unfolds throughout the week and the years coming? Because at the minute, you just have no idea what's going to come of these decisions.
I'll make a prediction for you, Daisy. How long have you been out of the game? How long have you been in the media for now?
A year.
You'll be talking about this same thing in 4 or 5 years. Because it's just year after year, week after week. We
do. And it makes the world go around. Look, the Holman one to me was just the outlier. I can get why they put the Plowman one up because of the concussion to O'Meara, but But to your point, I think they need to have a rethink on what they assess as careless conduct, because to me, Helmet was not careless conduct.
Yeah, not an outlier, because I reckon the Taron Thomas one was just as bad the week before, where they gave him a week's suspension for attacking the football. The Tribunal, and he had to go.
The Tribunal got off.
Yeah, but the MRO giving him a week's suspension for attacking the football.
Yep.
And again, collisions are still going to happen, but we'll keep an eye on that one. Hey, just moving on, Damo, the Shea Bolton findings came out yesterday. What'd you make of that?
I made that out to be a very, as happens in the AFL world, Joey, a very contrived, very controlled outcome. The narrative from Richmond's perspective went from being it's okay under certain circumstances to protect your mates, and then we saw yesterday that it's not okay by way of, no, we have to de-escalate was the phrase used there. So, look, there's a $20,000 donation going to a good charity of identification from the AFL from a masculinity point of view. So that's the outcome of it, Joey. But I haven't been all that happy with how Richmond's handled the entirety of it. I get these things happen, but the language that Damien Hardwick put out there early days, to me, confused the matter.
So you don't like what he said at the start? Because we will preface this by saying we don't want violence in anything, but if somebody is having a swipe at your partner or something like that, you can't stick up and say, hey, mate, jog on, or...
It's so easy.
This is where the grey area lies.
Say what I'm about to say, that, you should walk away. And I get where you're coming from with it. But the AFL industry cannot be condoning. And again, what I wanted to know out of this...
They can't be condoning it, but they can say, yes, these blokes found themselves in a situation they probably shouldn't have, but they have. What they did isn't what we want to become the norm.
Yeah, but then we put an asterisk on the messaging, don't we? And we're very good at that in the AFL. We tell people what they can and can't do until we do what we're telling them not to.
I just feel that at the start they backed their player in what he did in sticking up for a mate.
But they're not backing him now.
Well, that's the issue, because they've caved to public pressure, because there's all these comments and tweets online saying it's a gross use of masculinity and you're a person in a position of power. I get all of that.
Maybe they've caved because it's the right thing to do, to cave.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but are you saying they've rolled over just for the public imagery?
I think it's more a look now than what they actually believe was the right or wrong thing at the time.
He broke his hand in whatever happened, and that's the other thing.
Yeah, well, we don't know
I would
what
have
that
liked
was,
an explanation as to how that happened, and I think then we probably could talk about it in a way better than we were able to, because of the unknown about how he did break it.
Yeah, we could chat about this one all day, but last one before we go to a break, Damo. Two presidents in the last couple of days have come out pleading with their supporters to stick fat. What have you made of Andrew Bassett, first of all, writing a letter to all the St Kilda members, and now Mark Horder in today's paper?
I didn't mind what Andrew Bassett did, because at least it was an acknowledgement to the fans that this is not what we expected. The Mark Horder one, though, that to me was like a school essay to his members of a situation that he's lost complete control of and never had control of to begin with. And a man who deliberately didn't have a profile for 15 years when he was on the board, and that's fine too, now wants one, and now wants the members of his club to listen to what he's telling them to do when others are now challenging him and his authority on the club, and I think he's left himself exposed to the inevitability now of that general meeting.
What do you make of it, Duck, the Collingwood board situation?
I'm not sure it's newsworthy anymore, to be honest.
Okay.
It's had its run.
But it is going to be until Jeff Brown and the new board do something, isn't it? Isn't it going to continue just to loiter in the air?
Really, the only people that it's affecting are obviously the Collingwood Footy Club. So all of this challenging and back and forth and who's going to do it and who wants it, I mean, it just divides the footy club. And in some ways, no matter who gets the job, there's going to be division.
Yeah.
Which is not...
There is divisions at every club's board, yeah.
But it's not
What's
good.
your view on it, Dave, given you're the recently retired superstar of the club?
I just think that when it comes to, you want someone who's puts themselves last, essentially. So Eddie, although he was a big figure in this town, he put the Collingwood Football Club first. I think at the minute, the hidden agendas and the agendas of now coming out and writing articles, there's just a little bit of me time creeping into this whole debate about who is going to run the club. A gentleman's agreement, like Eddie said it when he took over, you figure out who is the best person for the job. You might have to say, actually, yep, after discussion, it isn't me. Congratulations, I support you fully. But at the minute, the way it's being handled and the way they're going on field and off field is just, it's a genuine shambles down there at the minute.
It's a complete mess.
This is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub, and it's now time for this.
On the Midweek Rub, it's time for Duck Dive.
I'm good from the waist down.
Quick Five.
Righto, you haven't heard these questions, Duck. We want your honest assessment, as you always give us, and the boys, you can jump in if you like. First question, can a team win this year's grand final from outside the top four, considering only one team in the last 20 years has actually done it?
Yes, they can.
They can.
Yeah.
Are you saying that because of one team?
No, I'm saying it because that's how even the competition is. And whoever's fitter at the right time can win the flag.
Do you agree, Daisy? Or do you think because it is even, you actually need to finish top 4 and give yourself a double chance?
No, I think I agree with Duck because I can see Richmond are sitting outside the 8 at the minute. So if they have a good back half of the year, they could find themselves in 6th or 5th and they'll be a red-hot chance when the whip's cracking.
Next one, who is closer to winning their next premiership, the Kangaroos or the Hawks? And I'm not saying they're going to be in the next 3 years.
Look, listen, I've got no idea. But I'll say the Kangaroos, but I have no idea.
I think the Kangaroos actually are. I think they've started their rebuild. They've got some young talent. They're still a few years off, but I've got more faith in them over the next 5 years than maybe
Do you really?
Hawthorn's list at the moment.
Wow.
Hawthorn's list is a long, long way off being able to contend again. Next question. If you were running the St Kilda Footy Club, what would you do with the group this week to get them out of their funk?
Yeah, I'm a big subscriber to getting together. And, and look, mightn't be able to do it after tonight, so make it tonight. Get together tonight. Go to the movies. Go to the
movies. Imagine if Dennis Pagan said to the A boys, we're going to have a bonding session. We're going to go to the movies.
No, we'll go light a bonfire somewhere or, do something out in the open. Have just a couple, Daisy.
Yeah.
Sit around.
Just a couple,
few home truths come out when
The worst thing you can do in these situations is be left alone or in your little groups. So, everyone in their footy club has their one or two mates or the blokes who aren't playing well or think they might be on the outer this week. You sort of dance around it. It's almost better to front foot it, and you're right. Generally, it's done around a couple of beers, a bonfire outdoors, so it's COVID safe at the minute. How good is that? And you dead set, you forget the problems of the world. You go, it's not all bad, and they might not win this weekend, but at least they'll all know where they're standing or sitting.
The thing about St Kilda is their best is good enough. Their best, their gap between their best and their worst is huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just on that concept of having a couple of beers around the bonfire, it was done historically, wasn't it? I can't recall, and if it has happened, it hasn't been publicised any time in the last 10 to 12 years where clubs have done that.
Clubs have done it.
They're still doing it?
For sure they do it. They just wouldn't advertise it. I think it's not something you would want to speak publicly about, but I still think clubs absolutely would get together and have a drink and just, as you just spoke about, Daisy, just get some bit of bonding and just relax together and trying to move forward.
Duck used to do it every Friday night.
Milo and Otis. Just a really good, loving movie.
Hey, next one, Duck. I want to get your take, and you might have spoken about this on the Sunday Rub, but what did you make of Reece Matheson's antics against the Tigers, and in particular calling himself the Barometer?
Yeah, I'm not sure you give yourself a nickname, the Barometer, when you've only played half the games.
I loved it.
So, and look, he's a type of player, and you only have to talk to his teammates. He's loved by his teammates, so he gets a big tick there. Now, the carry on from outside for us, I look at him and say, look, I'd like him to be a bit more established. But if that's how he behaves to get the best out of himself, then clearly that's what he has to do. Because I think in the past, Daisy, that he actually did pull his head in a little bit in that type of outwardly emotional state that he gets himself in, and his form wasn't great off the back of that. So he's a guy clearly that has to get himself up. Do I like it? Not necessarily from him because he's not a regular yet.
So the pickle comes when they're 10 goals down and he kicks a goal, and then does he start doing, beast mode and the shotguns and things like that? Like if that is his personality. So there is a time and place, but whatever he did the other night, I think it was getting genuinely under the skin of the Richmond players.
And one thing that we do in this country in particular is we tend to, when people do that, we sort of go, for whatever reason, and I'm guilty of it as well. And I'm not sure why, because if that was an American basketballer doing that, we'd be, how good's he? And everything, so I'm, no, actually I've just flipped.
You don't mind.
Keep going.
Keep doing it.
What he did do too, when he got back in, when Lachie Neale came out, so he's played the 4 games Neale has missed, he ran water for the VFL team very early the next day after the night game they played that night. And he didn't want anyone to know that. Of course, they found out about it, but it was just, that's how he's wired, and that's why, and it's an example of why they love him internally.
Just maybe he gets the dictionary and just sees what barometer means before sort of publicly going with it.
The nickname,
right.
but everything else, yes.
Yes. Hey, last one, and I want to get your take. Has Marcus Bontempelli gone past Dusty as the best player in the game?
Ooh,
good question, Joey.
Good question.
There's a new order.
I think his consistency this year's definitely gone ahead of Dusty.
Yeah.
Dusty's had a very good year, by the way, but I think Bontempelli has been
very good,
exceptional,
very good, Duck.
Exceptional.
There's been 3
So
games
who's the
been
number
shut
1
down.
player in the game now? Who's the number 1 player in the game?
Oh, Good question. Without notice.
Yeah, without notice.
Has he been good?
he'd be-
Has he been good in the big games this year?
Yep.
He'd be,
Very good.
Yeah, he'd be
Okay.
close. He'd be close. And what a game. What a game Friday night. And
yeah.
I know we're going to get to that,
Yeah.
but looking forward to that.
Because, Damo, just quickly, you're making a case that Marcus Bontempelli already right now could be the Western Bulldogs' greatest ever player.
Yeah,
with what
I
he's
think
done.
it stops right now. He's played 155 games. That's 200 and a bit short of Brad Johnson, Duck.
Ahead of Jose Ramiro.
But Pete, look, go back to his third year. He was, as a 20-year-old, he
Hang on,
captained the
you're
team.
talking about, you got guys like Ted Whitten and
Brad Johnson,
Chris
Grant, yeah.
Scotty
Doug
West,
Hawkins.
and Dougie
Ducky,
Hawkins.
he won a premiership
Billy
in his
Gowers.
third year and one of the best and fairest, which you did, I know, in a premiership winning year as a 20-year-old. He's won 3 best and fairest. There's 3 All-Australians.
Yeah.
He's never finished lower than third in the best and fairest once he started his second season. So for 6 years, he's placed in the best and fairest. And I feel he's on track to win a Brownlow. I reckon the conversation is going to be had if he wins a Brownlow. So let's have it now. Let's have it 10
building a
rounds
great
short.
CV, but I think it's premature to say
that's
that he's the
fair
greatest
enough
ever
too.
Bulldog.
Yeah.
But certainly going in the right direction.
Absolutely.
To be in that
I reckon
conversation.
he's in the conversation now, but that's my opinion only, Duck.
And he's just signed a 4-year deal, which is good news for all the Western Bulldogs fans. He will be at the club for life. Don't worry about that. Hey, up next, speaking of the Western Bulldogs, huge game Friday night against the D's. 1v2, Damo. I want to get your thoughts after this. This is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Now let's look forward to the weekend's games. But before we do that, we always got to take a look back at our predictions from last week and who were our certainties.
I will take the D's to beat the Crows.
Oh, you finally went for one that was a safe bet. You've been going for a bit of the risky ones, and that backfired on you. So I think you're now up to 18 beers. So we nearly got a
you know
slab
what?
out of you.
You said to me, we were talking about the Blues before that, and you said, will you take the Blues as your certainty? I scoffed and said, absolutely not. And then went with the D's, who genuinely turned it up, didn't they? It was bound to happen sooner or later. Snow season's impending. The water. The air's gone cold. The snow's about to come, so they're just looking after their fans.
Duck, you were spot on. You went out on a limb. You said the Brisbane Lions to beat Richmond. You were very confident. Damo, you went out on a big limb. You took the Cats at GMHBA to beat the Gold Coast Suns.
And they had a few issues too.
Yeah,
in the
they
third quarter.
didn't look close. And let's take a listen to mine. I'm going to take Fremantle to beat Sydney Swans. Freo are in Perth.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think the Dockers will bounce back. Never in doubt that one. Comfortable winners, Fremantle. So only, Daisy, you add to the tally of our beers. You're up to, I think, nearly a slab. I'll just double check after. But that's all right. We're going well. Hey, let's look ahead to Friday night, as we said. Want to get your thoughts on this. 1v2, Damo. Not often at round 10 do we, which is a bit surprising, do we see the first v second on the ladder?
It's actually a whole lot less common than we may think without analysing it too. The celebrated ones, Joey, you played in, and to me this is one of arguably the greatest home and away game. Round 14, 2009, St Kilda versus Geelong, both teams 13-0 going into it, and that was the famous Michael Gardner mark.
Yeah, and I think it's still the biggest crowd ever at Marvel Stadium. I think they had 56,000 in there, which we didn't even know could fit into that. And it was the loudest game I've ever played in because under the roof at Marvel, that many people, it just echoed, and it was just unbelievable, the atmosphere. But you're right, not too often you get teams, particularly clearly 1 and 2. Like these two teams are 2 games ahead of third in the competition. So it's going to be a great game to see who's the big dog in town, who is the number 1 team in the comp. How do you see it playing out?
Yeah,
Duck?
well, look, the Dogs were unbelievable on the weekend, weren't they? I mean, they were superb. Treloar is a big out, just, obviously stops some of those rotations through the middle of the ground. But I'm going to go with the Dogs. I think at Marvel, I think that that's where they absolutely play their best footy. Although, hang on, the roof's is the roof
Going to be open.
The roof's open.
As we speak,
the Dogs have been in lockdown as well this week.
Oh, so, we don't know the weather, do we, on Friday night? Because that makes a big difference for me. The Dogs play their best on that ground. I'm going to go with the Dogs. I think the Dogs.
I think I'm going to go with the D's.
Wow.
Yeah, I just think that they were playing some really good footy. I'd been doubting them for a long time. And just sometimes a little bit of a loss, you start to review the game a bit differently, a bit of a smarten up. The Dogs haven't had the best preparation this week in terms of having just to lock it down for a quick 24 hours whilst they got their results as one of their members went to Hive Point. So I'm going to tip the D's.
Jane Bunn just texted me.
Yes.
And no, she's going to be fine Friday
The
night.
weather's going to be beautiful.
That's a good
yeah,
effort,
right.
given that we're not live at the absolute moment, Doug.
Hey,
Well, just call me Wayne Bunn.
without notice, who's Daisy, without notice.
And he still put the helmet around
He did the old
laugh.
Who's the better 1-2 combination in the comp right now? Oliver Petrarca or McRae and Bontempelli?
Oliver and Petrarca. Oliver, did you see the game he put out on the weekend?
That was unbelievable. That was unbelievable
Yeah.
what Clayton Oliver did.
Yeah, I love what McRae does accumulating the ball, but I just think Oliver as an accumulator in that sort of comparison is probably
26 contested, was
27,
it?
I think it was,
27.
number one all time
Yeah.
for the footy club. So I just think if you put those two head to head, he's a couple of runs in front. Petrarca and Bont, very, very even. Both win a lot of the footy, can go forward.
As good as Oliver is, and he was brilliant on the weekend, I think that he still at times doesn't give the first option and still at times can be a touch selfish. Doesn't know when to give it off or hangs on to it when it should be first give. So I'm going to say McRae and Bont.
Ooh, very good.
Any question with where Bontempelli is a potential
you're-
answer? I'm
you're
taking
going the Dogs.
the answer with Bontempelli in it.
I think the Dogs will win this one. I think they're in better form. I think Melbourne have just been teetering a little bit, and then they might lose a couple in a row, Melbourne, but I don't think that excludes them from certainly winning the flag. The next big game, Collingwood v Geelong, MCG. Potentially a danger game. Cats aren't going great. Their numbers aren't off the charts at the last month. Collingwood were much, much better against Port Adelaide, Daisy. Can you see Collingwood causing an upset?
Well, I just don't think at the minute they're kicking anywhere near enough score.
They can't kick 10
This
goals.
game, I'll put this on the rate. I'll put this on the record now. We'll play this next week. This game will be a bore fest. It will be 50 to 60 because both teams, the way they're playing at the moment, chipping it around, slow kicking, trying to deny the opposition the ball. That's why I give Collingwood a chance because it'll be a game that'll be low scoring. They'll be in it, and if they can take some opportunities, they might just cause an upset.
Surely Chris Scott says this is a game where we've got to take it on and we can score. We can score. Percentage is going to play a part. I mean, they've got to take this game on, take an inexperienced Collingwood on and have a really good win rather than, like you said, a 20-point win and bring it down to where Collingwood's at the moment. But I agree. Collingwood can't kick 10 goals.
I love Johnny Brown and how he sort of assesses the game, and he always says, how are you going to get your 10 or 12 goals? You look at Geelong, Tomahawk, Jeremy Cameron, chuck in Rowan down there, got Dalhouse, Higgins down there, some class. You look at the Pies, you've got Myercheck or DeGoey or essentially bust.
Yeah. Which it took on the weekend for Geelong late in that third quarter. It took consecutive goals from Cameron Hawkins and Gary Rowan to sort of give themselves a gap on the Gold Coast Suns. So we'll keep an eye on that
Can I have the
one.
Cats as my certainty?
You want the Cats as your certainty?
Thank you.
Okay, yep, good one. Daisy's
limb.
got him first.
I did that last week and it bit me in the butt.
Cats. Damo, your certainty?
I'm going to go round to the later matches in the round, Joey. I'm going to take the Swans over the Blues.
Really?
Which is a reasonably risky.
That is a risky
certainty,
one for
isn't it?
you too, Damo. Yeah.
I was gun shy after going 0-3, I think, at the start of the year. So
Yep.
I'll take the Lions as my certainty over the Giants, and the Giants have been brave, unbelievably brave. Well done, but Toby Green missing again, and the fact that it's up there, the Lions for me.
Yeah, very good. I'm going to take the Gold Coast Suns to beat the Hawks in where that game is being played in. In Darwin. Yeah, it's in Darwin.
You're
but-
really off the Hawks at the minute, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. I don't
with
think
good reason, Doug.
Yeah,
You've won
I was gonna-
one game. Two.
Yeah, 2 games. So Gold Coast Suns to beat the Hawks. Last one, St Kilda Kangaroos. Can the Kangas win another one? Or Saints should surely Daisy bounce back?
Oh, well, yeah, well, they should. I watched both of these games on the weekend.
Oh, you did too. You had a bad weekend for Triple M.
I had the Cats and the Suns, then the Dogs and the Saints, and then finished off Sunday afternoon under the lid with the Roos.
Your average losing margin for your
Yeah, it was
games.
about 80 points. So I couldn't give a stuff.
There'll be another letter
That's me
coming to
too.
Saints members if the Saints lose to North Melbourne,
Absolutely.
Joey.
There'll be all sorts of trouble. Hey, thanks for another edition of Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Happy birthday to you for tomorrow, Duck. And, of course, don't forget you can listen to every game across round 10 on Triple M, starting with tomorrow night's huge top-of-the-table clash between the Dogs and the D's, live from 6 p.m. with Howie, Das, Chief, Nath Brown, Damien Barrett, Ash Chua. We might be in lockdown, so put the radio on, sit back, listen to the footy all weekend. Thanks for joining us.